Today we're going to talk about 5 things that could possibly fail you at basic training. But without further ado, let's get to it. What is up, guys? Ben Allen back again with another video, and like I just said, we're gonna be talking about 5 things that could possibly fail you from Army basic training. These things all vary, right? Some are more severe than the others, but they all could possibly get you, kicked out of basic training and sent home. So if you guys are excited for this video, be sure to like it, give it a big old thumbs up. It really helps us out. Comment down below if you're getting ready to go to basic training, or if you've already been to basic training, and just what in general, made you join the Army. I want to hear y'all's thoughts, your comments, so down below, drop them. Let's hear it. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask me in the comment section, and or hit me up on Instagram at Ben_Allen175. It's the best possible place to reach me if you have any questions whatsoever. And be sure to subscribe, guys. It really helps us out. We're trying to hit 100K in the next year. So if you guys could just go ahead and take the 2 seconds, hit the button, I'd greatly appreciate it. And with all that out of the way, guys, let's jump straight into the video, right? So the number one thing, or the first thing that could possibly fail you at basic training, is failing your PT test, right? So the ACFT, the Army Combat Fitness Test, that's a new test of record, but it's really not counting until like 2022, I believe, is what they've put out, a while back. That's the thing, right? But once that's said and done, right, when you're at basic training, you fail to pass this PT test, chances are you can get kicked out of basic training because you're not meeting the standards required, right? You're not going to be able to just fail one, okay, you're getting kicked out. No, they'll give you a few tries. So typically you fail one and you take a retest. You fail the retest, then hey, they start the separation process and they get you out of the Army and just send you back to civilian life, right? So you definitely want to make sure you're prepared for that for when the time comes. I don't think you guys have to worry too much about it right now, just due to the fact that due to the whole COVID, and they're still testing the ACFT, they're trying to refine it and get it where it needs to be before they start actually making it a test of record. So the second thing that could possibly get you kicked out of basic training or fail you at basic training is, this one's a big one. You do not want to do this one because there's more things that could come if you do violate these things, and that is violating the EO and SHARP policies. So EO is equal opportunity, SHARP, it's like the sexual harassment program that they have in the Army to prevent, sexual harassment, sexual assault, all that type of stuff, right? And if you violate these, it's pretty bad, right? This is like something the Army's really big on, especially in the last couple of years as well, because there's been a whole lot of issues with this, and just a lot of people coming forward with sexual harassment stories, or EO stories, and it's getting out there, right? So the Army's really trying to hammer down on stopping this type of behavior in the Army, right? We had one dude that bumped into another soldier, and the drill sergeant was like, yo, that's sharp, and they kind of pressured the soldier that got bumped into to say it was sharp, and they recycled this soldier to the beginning of basic training. We were getting ready to graduate, right? And that's because he bumped into somebody. So imagine you're saying explicit jokes during training that somebody doesn't take too kindly to. They might feel uncomfortable, they might feel oh no, I felt unsafe, I felt like this person had ill intent with this joke, or they weren't really joking. Perception is reality, right? So if they take your joke as something not jokingly, right, they can report that, and a whole investigation can come about, and they could possibly separate you from the Army based on those allegations. They'll do the case, and whatever, they'll get witnesses, they'll get statements, all that stuff, as well as EO, right? If you're being discriminatory to a person because of their race, their sex, their religion, they can file a complaint as well, and those don't typically end well, right? Especially they'll do a whole case as well, investigation, and they'll either maybe not kick you out, they'll maybe recycle you to the beginning of a different basic training cycle, but there's always that possibility that they're just going to kick you out for violating the EO and the SHARP policies. So you definitely want to mind your P's and Q's while training. Keep the jokes to a minimum, especially the sexual jokes, or any discriminatory jokes to specific races, genders, religions, all that stuff, because that could come and bite you in the ass. So you want to be on the ball when you're in that type of environment, and don't let it slip up. So the next thing that could possibly get you kicked out of basic training or have you fail basic training is having inappropriate relationships, right? And you've seen on the news, right, like, oh, drill sergeant has relations with initial entry training soldier, or private at Fort Sill basic training has relations with other private or drill sergeant, right? And then a whole investigation comes about, whether that drill sergeant was at fault, the private was at fault, they were both at fault, or between soldiers as well, right? You're not supposed to be having relations with the other soldiers that you're there with, because you're training, right? That's not what you're there for. That could also technically violate SHARP if somebody perceives it the wrong way. So there's a whole thing around that, right? So keep it in your pants, male, female, whatever. Just focus on your training. Don't get caught up with relationships and basic, because chances are you're never going to see these people again. They're going to go to different bases, yada yada, and it's just not worth the hassle. Because if you get caught, then hey, cool, you violated our policies. We have a strict no fraternization policy. We have a strict whatever policy. You're getting kicked out. You fail basic training, and you do not want to do that, guys. Like you can wait a good 10 weeks. And then you go back to your civilian life, or you go on leave or something, or you go to your actual duty station. You can do that stuff there, right? Within reason, within company policy and all that stuff. But that's also a big thing that you want to watch out for and not slip up on. So this next one really isn't something that could like fail you at basic training. I mean, it can, but it can't. Or get you kicked out of basic training, or just get you removed from basic training. This one isn't as severe as the other ones, but because you really can't plan for these types of things, but that is getting injured at basic training, right? Things happen, right? People roll their ankles, people get hurt backs or hips, they're carrying rucks with like 60 plus pounds for miles on end, right? People's bodies really aren't built for a whole lot of that, right? Especially if you've never been conditioned for it. People are going to get injured, right? And sometimes when you get injured at basic training, they just kind of hold you there until you recover. Then they put you in another cycle that's starting up, and you get to try again, right? But there are some people that are injured to an extent to where they can't continue, and they have to be medically separated from the Army, basic training. And you technically didn't fail or get kicked out. You were medically separated, meaning nothing bad is going to come of it, really. Like, you couldn't help it, right? It's just something that happened. You could not medically continue and go on. So I wouldn't consider that failing or getting kicked out. Just the luck of the cards you got which weren't in your favor, and you kind of just had to take an exit because of that. But sometimes you get medically retired, you can still benefits, all that type of stuff, right? So just try to mind where you're stepping, where you're going, how much weight you're getting. Try to condition before basic training. It'll probably get you stronger and help you out to prevent injuries. Do your stretches and all that fun stuff, right? It'll definitely help out. But speaking of injuries, guys, if you want me to make a video talking about injuries at basic training, just comment injury down below in the comment section. I'll try my best to get some sort of video together talking about what are the steps you can take for rehabilitation, being a holdover, all that type of stuff. But again, just comment injury down below if you want that video. And moving on to the last thing, guys, this is probably one of the bigger ones as well, along with EO and SHARP, right? I think these two, EO and SHARP is a big one, and this one's going to be a big one, and that is failure to adapt, right? You're going to hear this a lot in the Army, whether it's at basic, AIT, OSIT, your first duty stations. But failure to adapt is probably one of the biggest things, right? Because it's kind of broad, like, oh, this person failed to make their bunk, like, after getting in trouble for it for 5 times, right? Like, the first time, cool, you're learning how to make a bunk, you're learning how to like do the hospital corners, 45-degree angle, all that stuff, right? Second time, like, okay, dude, we taught you, like, get under control. Third time, like, yo, like 3 strikes you're out type of thing. Not really, but if you continually have that same issue where you're not fixing the problem and you're just kind of ignoring it, that could be considered failure to adapt. You could possibly just wake up one day and be like, oh, I quit, I can't hack it, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, you're failing to adapt to the environment that you're in, and they could possibly start the separation process, get you kicked out, you fail basic training. And it's very broad, guys. There's a lot of things, right? Like, oh, like, say you're having a bad day or something, and then everybody has bad days, and they probably won't kick you out just for one bad day. But if it's consistent and you guys are continually not making the effort to get better or fix the issues, then that could be considered failure to adapt. For example, right, when I was in AIT, we had this one female soldier. We were doing NPAs, right, because I was 68 whiskey, and NPA is pretty much a nasal pharyngeal airway, goes in your nose, and it's just really uncomfortable, right? And she's freaking out. She did not want to do it, and she's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do it. And then one of our instructors was like, that's fine, don't do it, but it's going to be failure to adapt. And hey, she did it, because failure to adapt is grounds for separation, depending on what it is you failed to adapt to. But just keep all this in mind, guys. That's pretty much it for the video. If you guys want another video like this, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you want to see regarding basic training, joining the Army, MEPS, your first duty stations, AIT, OSIT, all that fun stuff, guys. I post videos pretty much every Friday. I try to go live every Wednesday, and Monday I try to do some TikTok reactions, or I post short 60-second videos with tips, tricks, and hacks on how to navigate your Army career. For those of you that don't know me and this is your first time here watching this video, my name is Ben Allen. I did 4 years active duty, got out in September 2019, and I've been in the reserves for about a year and a half now. So I have that active duty knowledge, that reserve knowledge. So if you have any questions whatsoever, hit me up either in the comment section down below or on my Instagram at Ben_Allen175. Best possible place to get a hold of me to get your questions answered. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and like the video, guys. Subscribing grows our audience. We're trying to hit 100K in the next year, so I need y'all to hook it up. Help me out. It takes 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button, and liking this video helps push this video out to a larger audience so we can get more subscribers and get all this information out there to people that are getting ready to join the Army or go to basic training. So I'd greatly appreciate y'all's help in that. And yeah, with all that being said, guys, what do you think is going to be the biggest reason most people get kicked out? Was it EO, sharp? Was it failure to adapt, PT test, injuries? What do you guys think it is? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next one. Later.